So the Lakers came out with a game plan they had already showed the Timberwolves earlier this season, a game plan that was very, very simple. We're going to pinch from the corners and we're going to make Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle make skip passes across the court. And you could tell the Timberwolves were ready for it because the first two plays of the game were Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle throwing the ball into the stands, overly anticipating exactly that. But the plan only really works when you're able to stop the drive in the first place. When you allow Anthony Edwards to get 2 feet in the paint, helping off the corner is pretty much death. So in your game plan to confuse and discombobulate Anthony Edwards, he ends up with a game with 9 assists and 1 turnover because it became very, very simple. Now, to be fair, they did force Ant into a couple tough shots, especially when Gobert was in the court and Jackson Hayes wasn't on the court. And whether it was LeBron or Rui helping off of Gobert, they don't trust Gobert down low. So that became a little bit difficult for Ant in those situations. But even still, that corner was wide open a lot. And you could scheme up all you want, but at the end of the day, the Lakers don't have a player that can stay in front of Anthony Edwards. And that's going to be a problem the whole series. Now, is Naz Reid going to shoot that well going forward? Not every game. Is Jaden McDaniels going to play that well every game? No. But then depending on how you're playing, that opens up a chance for a big Rudy game. I think a big Rudy game is going to happen in this series. A 2020 game from Rudy might happen in this series. But what was more alarming for me, even more than their defense, was their offense, right? Because, again, you're playing the percentages to a certain degree. You're living with Jaden McDaniels threes. You're going to try to run Naz Reid off the line, all that. The Wolves were extremely hot. It's not going to be that way every single game. But what was alarming was LeBron and Austin could not get off, could not get past their man. And I brought it up in my preview of the series, my last video. I said, I am putting Anthony Edwards on Austin Reeves. I feel like that is going to shut down a lot of the Lakers' offense, and we've seen that in this game 1. And I almost want to say the Lakers weren't prepared for it. I know that sounds dumb, but it just seemed like Austin and the Lakers weren't prepared for it. They looked discombobulated by the ball pressure from Anthony Edwards. Usually Austin is very confident, is going to try. He didn't even really try to take Anthony Edwards after a certain point, and they need that confidence, they need that swagger from Austin to really carry them at points in the game, and he didn't have it at all. With LeBron, again, not to pat myself on the back, but my last video is literally titled LeBron versus Gobert. Now, the Wolves went on a crazy run when Gobert went out the game, and I was surprised by LeBron's lack of aggression when Gobert went out the game. But at the start of this game, we seen it. Rudy Gobert switched on to LeBron. LeBron can't really do much with Gobert. Whether it's a straight up switch or it's drop coverage, if LeBron wants to take pull up 15-footers all game, the Wolves are going to live with that. It's not like Luka who's going to actually get that little 8-foot floater. LeBron doesn't really go to something like that. He doesn't really, I don't want to say doesn't have that in his game, but that's not one of his shots. He has to stop on a dime, take a pull-up fading midi over a 7-footer contesting. The Wolves are going to live with that every time. LeBron doesn't want to get all the way to the rim on Rudy Gobert. Maybe he's not all the way healthy. Maybe we could talk about that. The lack of explosion, maybe that's a real thing, but even a fully healthy 40-year-old LeBron James wants no part of Rudy Gobert at the rim. That's why before this series, I said the Wolves should match Rudy Gobert's minutes with LeBron's minutes as much as possible. Not saying play him as much as LeBron, but saying don't go small when LeBron is on the court. And small for the Wolves is relative, right? The Wolves going small is still bigger than the Lakers, and they actually blew out the Lakers during those minutes, so maybe I was wrong. But what happened during that time is the Lakers kept playing the same defense they were playing when Gobert was out there, and they kept leaving the corners. Instead of helping off Gobert in the dunker spot, now they're helping off of Naz Reid or Julius Randle or Jaden McDaniels from the corner, and you just can't do that, especially when you're small. And part of the reason I was leaning toward the Lakers winning this series is this McDaniels performance is something we all know he's capable of doing every single night. It's just not something he does every single night, but he was able to really exploit his size, attacking the rim, getting 4 offensive rebounds, playing decent defense on Luka. Luka's still gonna do Luka things, right? But speaking of Luka, when's the last time Luka only had 1 assist? Now, guys gotta hit shots, but the Lakers hit 15 threes. It's not, Luka hit 5 of them, but I don't know. To be real with you guys, that part I probably gotta go back and look at more of what happened with Luka. Obviously, he got out to that blazing start, But Lakers fans, how are you feeling, right? Because you could be of one mind and say, yeah, we got blown out. That was a fluke game. They're not going to shoot that well. Or you could say, man, we got completely outmatched physically. They out-hustled us. They were able to run on us. They got offensive boards. They got threes. They got to the rim. They got whatever they wanted in this game. So I don't know. Which side of the spectrum are you on? I'm focused more on the Lakers offense than the defense because I do feel like they will change it up. I do feel like you can force Ant into, tougher decisions. Julius Randle did have 7 turnovers in this game, right? So I understand the game plan. And of course, forcing turnovers can help a lot with your offense getting out in transition. The Wolves killed the Lakers in transition points, so I get that. But I'm focused on the Lakers offense because they came out, I don't know if it was their intention, but it turned into, we're gonna try to attack the bigs of Minnesota. And maybe I'm not giving Minnesota enough credit for forcing those matchups, but it turned into a lot of, we're attacking Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert one-on-one, and LeBron and Austin could not do that at a rate that made it worth it. And maybe they're leaning too much into what Luka's doing, like, oh, that's working for Luka, but Austin and LeBron should be attacking, say, Mike Conley. We didn't see LeBron attacking Minnesota's guards at all, and I don't know why that is. We didn't see Mike Conley really in trouble at all during this game. There was one possession where he had Nickeil Alexander-Walker on him, and he got stripped of the ball. But that was very surprising to me, and it reminds me of Kevin Durant a little bit, where he had a series against Boston a couple years ago when he was with the Nets, and Al Horford and Grant Williams were doing an amazing job guarding him. Now, Kevin Durant's different because he's not going to bully you like LeBron, but he was attacking the bigs of Boston. We seen it earlier this year with the Lakers against Boston, where Al Horford did a great job holding up against LeBron and Luka. And we also seen it from KD last year when they got swept, and Cat was doing a great job on him, and Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert were all guarding Kevin Durant one-on-one because that's not an advantage matchup for KD at this point in his career. Same thing with LeBron. I think it would serve the Lakers for LeBron to stop going at the bigs and do more to get the smalls on him. I just felt like that would be the obvious game plan, and that's not something they really did at all in this game. And also another thing to watch is LeBron, Luka, Austin. To certain degrees, LeBron's the better off-ball player, but he's a better off-ball player in terms of cutting to the rim. Again, against this big team, that's not going to always be there. So I'm looking at all those guys, how they operate off-ball in roles that aren't really natural to them. And speaking of that, speaking of off-ball, if I'm the Lakers, I'm getting the ball out of Ant's hands earlier, right? They're pinching from the corners, but they're pinching at the nail. I'm getting the ball out of his hands before he even reaches that free throw line area. Because Ant, of course he can move off ball, of course he can shoot off ball, it's not a problem for Ant, but he would much rather be taking off the dribble threes. He took 10 threes a game this year, almost 8 of them were off the dribble. And the reason I'm saying that is, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle are the catch and shoot guys. So if I'm them, I'm trying to get the ball out of Ant's hands and make those other guys playmakers, and then make Ant the guy who has to catch and shoot with a contest. And then once off ball, the Lakers have better defenders at navigating screens than one-on-one isolation. That's where your IQ can come into play. LeBron can help, all that, right? I know that's easier said than done, but not only are you making Ant play a way he doesn't want to play, you're then making Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid into real decision makers instead of just standing in the corner taking easy catch and shoot threes. But let me know how you guys are feeling. I still feel like it's going to be a very long series. Knowing the Timberwolves, they're going to have a game where they outplay the Lakers and absolutely blow it. That's just kind of who they are. So there's going to be opportunities for the Lakers. Of course, I'm not overreacting to game one, but it was quite alarming how much more athletic the Wolves are. They were flying over the court. The Lakers look old and slow. They look like a team that doesn't have a lot of bounce collectively across the board. McDaniels looked like he was a far better athlete than Rui, because he is. Even guys like DiVincenzo and Nickeil Alexander-Walker were able to really show up as athletes in this game more than someone like Austin Reeves. So it's going to be an uphill battle, but I think it's going to be a great series. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please like, comment, subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.